What's up, everybody? This is the CanesInSight podcast brought to you by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. I am D Money, fired up. It's Friday, got the weekend coming up, and had an unbelievable practice today. We're going to give you the absolute latest on everything that went down. Standouts, freshmen continuing to impress, Cam Ward report, all kinds of recruits on campus, big names. We'll be talking about all of it. But first, I want to tell you about our friends at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Dial 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. If you've been injured in an accident, someone you care about has been injured in an accident, this could be the case of your life, hopefully the biggest legal case of your life, and you could be entitled to significant compensation. You don't want to be dealing with rookies. Lance Guidry doesn't want to put some freshman walk-on corner against Florida State. You don't want the biggest case of your life to be handled by someone learning on the job. Go to Anajar and Levine, experts at this particular process, from the accident, the investigation, the medical reports, and the litigation. They got you all covered. Nobody does it better. No one is more experienced than Anajar and Levine. Take back control of your life. Reach out to them today and tell them that D Money and CanesInSight sent you. Also want to talk about my friends at Canes, where I've been wearing their stuff all week. They got tons of new Canes baseball gear, jerseys, hats, shirts, Marlins. I'm a big baseball fan. The season's gearing up. Heat getting into the playoffs. They got your Heat stuff covered. Inter Miami, they got all the Inter Miami gear. I mean, I've never seen more Messi jerseys in my life. They got all of that. You can go to the store in Arrowhead Plaza in Davie. It is football heaven. We have a very long thread on the CanesInSight forums with people just talking about how much they love Caneswear and their great experiences there. Check that out. If you can't get to the store, go to caneswear.com. They'll take care of you anywhere in the country. Really, I think anywhere in the world. They ship all over. caneswear.com. Go there today. All right, so now I'm ready to talk about what we saw today at practice. I just got out, came here to cut this podcast, so this is still fresh. A lot of standouts, a lot of fun today. More contact. The pads were popping a little bit more than they've been in the first two practices. Still helmets, shorts, and shells, but the physicality's ramping up. The competition's ramping up. People are more used to what they're doing. They're not just getting their wheels under them. They're moving and they're hidden. I always like to talk about the freshmen when I do these, because I've been going to Green Tree a long time. I've been going to practices for a while, really since I was a kid. And when you get older and you start knowing what's going on, you realize that the true freshmen that come in, the good ones are pretty easy to spot. They may not be ready right away, but you can usually see who has ability and who's probably out of their depth a little bit. I remember David Njoku, when he first got on campus, I made a post on CanesInSight.com saying, hey, this dude can move. This dude's big. He has some talent. Same with Clive Walford. Both underrated guys, but you could see it early. It doesn't take an NFL scout. Anybody sitting out there can see when someone has physical tools, a confidence, and an ability to play, even if they might take a redshirt year to get where they're going to go. So I have learned that freshmen usually show you what they're about. Bill Parcells had a quote: the dogs, they bark as puppies, right? So we want to see some puppies barking. And Miami has a lot of puppies barking. We've been talking about them all week on the CanesInSight podcast. And one name that keeps coming up is JoJo Trader. And when a name keeps coming up, that should tell you something. JoJo Trader has been making plays every single practice and really making it look easy often. That is his style. He makes things look easy. I understand the corners are down, but he's beating everybody that lines up in front of him with his route running and smooth change of direction and acceleration. Doesn't look as fast as he really is. And I've been struggling for a comparison with him. And shout out to Dolphin Derek for giving this to me. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith won the Heisman. Don't go say, hey, D-Money's predicting a Heisman for JoJo Trader. That's not what I'm saying. But the ability to move so smooth and look slow when you're running, but yet actually be going fast and separating, the ability to make contested catches despite not being a huge, bulky guy, he brings that to the table. He really makes it look easy when the ball's in the air, contested catches, adjusting to the ball, body control, and then also from a route standpoint, change of speed standpoint. And when I talk about his contested catches, that's really more from high school, because he has not had a lot of contested catches here in Green Tree. He's been pretty much wide open. You saw it today on one-on-ones. I mean, he was just destroying people off the line, separating at the top of his route. his hitch and goes. Again, just anything that involves changing speeds, that's where he thrives because he does it so easily. Had a couple long touchdowns, both in one-on-one and in skeletons, and just really looked the part of a big-time player, continues to make plays every single practice and earn the trust of his quarterbacks. Speaking of quarterbacks, Cam Ward, we've been talking about him every practice because he's the real deal. He's exactly what you wanted to this point. Again, helmets, shells. We're not doing scrimmages. We're not doing full contact. We're definitely not doing games. We'll know what these guys are when Florida comes around. But as far as what you saw in film in Washington State and now what you're seeing here, it's the same thing. Quick decision-making, good decision-making, not a lot of balls thrown into harm's way. Washington State, he did not turn it over very much as far as throwing interceptions. He's continued to do so to protect the ball and make good decisions here, again, early. The accuracy, the ability to throw it or only his receiver can catch it, even if the receivers and the DBs are even. That's a particular strength of his. If you ask me one thing that really stands out, it's that, the ability to throw to somebody who might be covered, but put in a place where the receiver can make the play. Very good at that. And then I think what we're seeing now as the team drills heat up a little bit is the ability to extend plays and make plays on the move, step up in the pocket, go right, go left, keep his eyes downfield and find somebody. One guy who had a really good connection with him today, Jacoby George. When he gets out of the pocket, he's looking. He's looking for whoever's open. Restrepo's caught a bunch like that, but him and Jacoby George have a nice connection where Jacoby knows what he's doing, he knows what Jacoby's doing, and they're able to connect. You saw that multiple times today. Should be noted, Jacoby George was the one that hosted Cam Ward when he came down on his visit, along with a few others. So they've been building that chemistry, and now you're starting to see it on the field. But Cam Ward, this is a big practice today, loaded with guests. You're talking about, I saw Mike Tannenbaum out there. I saw every booster you could name. Recruiting-wise, Elias Williams from Georgia, the number 1 tight end. I saw Claude Boucard, the top defensive tackle from Canada that moved down to Central. Chris Ewald was out there. I saw Teddy Bridgewater, Malik Rozier, a lot of Tommy Streeter, Duke Johnson, obviously, has been at every practice. So a lot of former Canes, a lot of high school people, a lot of high school recruits, a lot of just people around the program. It was a packed house in the IPF. And I think if you ask people who were there, you're going to start to see reports creep out from people that were there. They're going to say, number 1's the real deal. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like he just was bombing away, but you just can see the confidence that he exudes and the control that he plays with. This has not been a learning curve where he's throwing a lot of interceptions, where he's fumbling snaps, where he doesn't know what the heck is going on. He looks very comfortable. And if you would go to practice, you wouldn't say this is a player with his first season on this team. He looks like he's been there his whole life. Again, we'll see what happens when the practices ramp up. We'll see what happens when the games start. But right now, he looks exactly how you want him to look. And him and Jacoby George are growing a very nice connection, along with what Cam Ward already has with Restrepo. Another freshman I want to talk about, and really, as a freshman class, we talked about JoJo Trader, top 100 player. There's a lot of big names in this class. It's a top 5 class. So there's a lot of blue chippers. I want to talk about some of the people that were either at the low 4-star range or under 4-star, because there were a few of those in this class. This class had an unusual number of low 4 stars, 3 stars for a top 5 class. It had a lot of them. And this was a staff that's really banking on their evaluations. You need those guys to supplement your stars and become stars themselves in many respects to really build the depth of talent that you want to see. Butch Davis signed some big-name guys like Andre Johnson, Antrell Roll, Vernon Carey that became what they were supposed to be, but he also signed a lot of sleepers that became those first-rounders and guys to support them. So you need a full class. One thing that you're seeing early on is that these 3-star guys, these low 4 stars, look physically like they belong. If you're the people on the recruiting staff, the support staff, maybe the assistant coach who vouched for a player, they're really nervous when these lower-rated guys get on campus because they don't want to be wrong about someone they vouch for. It's happened to everybody. The guy, you go to practice or workout, and some guy just clearly does not belong at this level, and you know it pretty fast. And if it's a guy that you vouch for that maybe was lower on the totem pole, it can be ugly. The guys that were not highly rated in this class who are here now are all impressing in different ways, in different degrees. Very good signs from those guys. I will start with somebody who was technically a 4-star, but a lower rated 4-star because of his height. And you've heard his name, just like JoJo Trader. You've heard his name multiple practices. You've heard this guy's name multiple practices. And if you're not listening to this podcast, like and subscribe. We're coming to you daily. We just dropped a live show on top of the daily show yesterday with a Q&A. So the content's coming hot and heavy. Like and subscribe to keep up. But anyways, if you've been listening and you heard the live yesterday, you know Elijah Lofton, the tight end from Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman, has been making a lot of plays. Physically, he's short as advertised, very wide, very grown man in terms of his build. He looks ready to physically compete right now. They haven't gotten into a lot of the pads popping and the blocking yet, where you're going to see him really move people and pop people. That will come in the practices ahead, and I think he's going to thrive. But right now, just running routes, one-on-ones, team drills, getting open, he is a natural receiver. Now, remember, this is a guy who also played tailback and scored touchdowns against Chaminade and Central. So, he can run with the ball. He lines up wide, and in practice, he's cooking guys with his routes and his instincts and his ability to pluck the ball. So he's a natural receiver. And then when the contact grows, just looking at him and seeing him in the weight room, knowing he's one of the better guys in the weight room and watching his high school film, he's going to block well too. So this is a complete football player who early on looks like someone who will play early in some kind of role. Special teams, is he going to play fullback? Is he going to be a tight end? I don't know. But I could see him getting on the field. In fact, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get on the field in some role year one. And this is someone the coaches told me when he committed. We think he's one of the best football players in the country, pure football player. Talk about a guy who can do everything. That's Elijah Lofton. He is a football player and is a pure football player. Put away the measurables, put away everything else. One of the best in the country. So I want to throw back to a clip from when Elijah Lofton first committed and what we were saying on the CanesInSight podcast. One of the best football players in the nation. And they use that term for a reason. To me, football player means versatile, can do a lot of things on the field, not just one thing. It means tough, and it means instinctual. And he's all three of those things. 6'1", 240, so he's undersized in terms of what you call a traditional inline tight end, but multiple receiving touchdowns, multiple touchdowns out of the backfield as basically a running back. They just handed him the ball. Great blocker. This guy's weight room numbers are off the charts. Squats over 500 pounds. Great bench. His verified testing numbers are in the top 10% of our database, ahead of Brevin Jordan. So if you want to compare him to another tight end who also went to the same high school, Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, also sort of undersized now in the NFL, Lofton tested ahead of him athletically, on top of what he brings to the table just as from his toughness standpoint. So nothing's changed. You're seeing the same stuff from Elijah Lofton that you saw in high school. Another guy, lower in the ranking. This guy's really a low 3-star, I think, low to mid 3-star. Dylan Day from Louisiana. Someone who played at a smaller school. Very successful school, but a smaller school in Louisiana. And you wonder, how is he going to take the step up in competition? He's not a highly ranked guy. I don't think he did a lot of these national camps. Gets here early. Didn't talk about him much on this podcast. But watching him today, he was making interceptions. He was disrupting the ball. He was everywhere. And he can cover guys too. He's a man coverage safety or potentially a nickel with tackling skills. I don't know where you line him up. He's played some safety. He's lined up in front of the slot receiver. He can do a few things, and he did that in high school. You watch his high school film. He's tackling. He's taking kicks to the house. He's doing a little bit of everything for his team, and he can cover man as well. Some thought he was a corner. Some thought he's a safety. I think in Miami he's going to be, again, that nickel corner / safety who can come up and play against a wide receiver, tight end if need be. He has more man coverage ability than someone like a Cam, who's more of a pure center fielder. Dylan is more of the type where he'll cover you, he'll blitz, he can tackle, and he has great instincts. And you saw all that on display today. He was covering guys. He was making plays on the ball. The tackling you're not going to see really until scrimmages, and you can bring guys to the ground. But he's always been a physical player. Still a little skinny. The weight's going to come on. But Dylan Day, to me, had a phenomenal day and was actually singled out by Guidry in the postgame. So he's another one of these low 3-star guys, mid 3-star guys that is so far doing what the coaches thought he would do. And again, just like Elijah Lofton, the coaches were singing this guy's praises early on when he got committed. I relayed their thoughts and put my own thoughts on Dylan Day when he committed on the CanesInSight podcast. Let's throw it back to what we were saying about him then. Watch the film, some of the most fun film you'll see. Extremely, extremely physical. This guy is looking to bust heads, whether he's involved in the play or not, whether he's just blocking for someone on interception. He's trying to knock people out, sometimes multiple on the same play. Even though he's a lanky guy, he's got natural strike and pop when he hits. Again, pop the film in on Dylan Day's junior highlights on CanesInsight.com. You'll have a lot of fun watching those. Shows corner ability, plays linebacker, plays safety, plays wide receiver, so he has some ball skills. Really versatile. I think at Miami, more of a nickel. And people think of a nickel as just a small, short, kind of quick guy, but you need some run support at that position, especially when you're not playing the traditional Sam anymore. So in your base defense. So he's somebody I think is going to be physical. Miami liked his frame on the visit. They thought he was tall, lanky, going to fill out really nice. He has verified measurables. So Dylan Day doing his thing, Elijah Lofton doing his thing. What other 3-star guys are making plays? One name I've been talking about, one name I haven't. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, the running back, continues to show quickness. He's a very talented receiver as well. There's a lot to like with Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, and he continues to show off. I compared him, again, not saying he's going to be Miami's all-time leading rusher. That's extremely unlikely. But in terms of running style, Duke Johnson-esque with his cuts and his ability to jump from gap to gap. Just a lot of life in his feet. Needs to bulk up. Duke had that great stiff arm and physicality. I don't know if Wheatley-Humphrey has that right now, but he's taller than I thought, and he's gaining weight, and it'll hopefully continues to gain weight and really maximizes his talent because he is a very talented runner with instincts. Smaller guy, but doing the things you want to do athletically. Name I haven't talked about a lot, quarterback Judd Anderson, one of the most polarizing players in the class. Doesn't take a genius to see the physical traits when he shows up. Guys, every bit is 6'7". He looks thicker than when he first arrived, and he's going to gain weight. Smooth and everything. Highly coordinated former basketball player. Double guy. He's someone who, again, some of these big guys, they just look like they're laboring. Or when they throw, it looks like they're pushing the ball. This guy throws it very easy. Natural release, natural drop, natural play action, ball fakes. The guy is just a very smooth customer. The question with him is going to be processing when the game is being played. He took major steps as a senior, had a great year once he transferred schools. At Warner Robins, the guy was playing outstanding. But that's going to be the question mark, is how can he read defenses and play full speed when people are trying to hit him? We won't know that. Definitely won't know that now. Probably won't know that until the game start and he gets in there, which might be down the road. But from what we can see now, limited reps. Remember, you have Cam Ward, Reese Poffenbarger, Jakari Brown, and Emory Williams ahead of him. So his reps have been limited. But got some opportunities today. Talking to people, I'm told he hit Chris Wheatley-Humphrey for a touchdown on the wheel route. And again, just looking at him, watching him, you can see the vision physically of what Judd Anderson could be. It'll come down to his command. He's supposed to be a smart guy. He's supposed to be a hardworking guy. Can he mentally master Shannon Dawson's offense so when he plays the second nature and he's not out there thinking? That, to me, is going to be the question because physically, the traits are easy to see. And he's standing alongside all the quarterbacks. He towers over them. Arm strength is more than comparable to all the top guys in that room, if not better. And just the coordination stands out. One more name I wanted to talk about. This is a veteran, C.J. Clark, the defensive tackle transfer from NC State. Had a pick six, as Lance Guidry told reporters after the game. He also had another pass breakup. I mean, this guy might move to DB with the shortage at defensive back and corner. Damari Brown, Robert Stafford out. Maybe C.J. Clark moves over there. But a guy with athletic ability to do things like that, really at his best getting upfield as a 3 technique. The good thing is, at NC State, he was more of a nose tackle, so he was stout. And he looks stout here. So that's something that's needed with this defensive tackle room. I think it's a little small right now. It's going to be improved when you add Horton, who's nicked up, when you add Justin Scott, Artavius Jones. The body types are going to increase. Arnold Blunt, who's kind of a DN tackle hybrid, he should be back later in spring, minor injury. So the body types are improving in recruiting. C.J. Clark helps bridge that gap because he's strong enough to be a nose tackle in the ACC, more of a 2-gap type of role, yet he's athletic enough to do what he's going to do here, which is get upfield and shoot those gaps. Of course, Get a pick 6 at Miami Hurricanes. You got some athletic ability. So like what he brings. Marley Cook had some flashes. Not someone that's going to look the part on the hoof. You look at him and you say, this is not what we want it to look like physically just because of his height. But that weight room, I think he had a 700-plus squat. You see that with his ability to move guys back and play with explosiveness and power from a low center of gravity. You talk to offensive linemen that played at the high levels, they say those are the guys that hated the block the most, those guys that can get under them, who had the strength and power to knock them back and couldn't just get ragdolled. So Marley Cook will be interesting, the defensive tackle transfer from Middle Tennessee State. But CJ Clark today had an outstanding day and put an exclamation point on practice with the pick 6. So like I said, we're coming daily. Even if the Canes are off, we're still on. We're dropping daily podcasts Monday through Friday. If you missed any, you want to check them out, go to YouTube, like and subscribe so you don't miss any. We got lives coming up to get to answer Q&As and do other types of things that require a live interaction with our community, which is my favorite part of the job. CanesInSight was a community first. Now we're stepping the content game up to a whole nother level. You can see it on the boards, on the site. We're posting recruiting stories, just written reports from practice, all kinds of things. Sign up now on the boards. 6.7 million posts and counting. CanesInsight.com forums, most active Canes community in the world. And then keep liking and subscribing and supporting us, man. We appreciate you, and you're the reason why we're able to step up in content. And it's only going to go up from here as the program continues to go to new heights. So stay tuned. Have a great weekend, and we'll be around. We'll be waiting for you. Go Canes.